Thank you for purchasing the SureShade Power Bimini system with the QC battery pack. We will demonstrate the proper way to install this system for years of enjoyment on the water. To install, you will need the following: 1 or 2 people, depending on the task. Electric or cordless drill or screw gun. Number 2, Phillips drive bit. Number 3, square drive bit. 5/32 inch hex wrench. 1/2 inch wrench. 9/16 inch wrench. Wire cutter, wire stripper, wire crimper, a non-permanent marking tool. When installing the complete Power Bimini system onto the boat's railing, make sure the 20-volt rechargeable battery is fully charged. Refer to the Charging the Battery section. Confirm, while facing the bow or front of the boat from the helm, there is a starboard or right-handed and a port or left-handed actuator. The starboard or right-handed actuator is pre-wired to the touch controller. Both actuators will be electrically connected by a wire assembly harness installed through the rear frame assembly. Now, insert the starboard rear frame assembly over the starboard actuator's rear handle. Do not secure the frame assembly to the actuator with screws at this time. Next, place the starboard frame actuator assembly onto the boat's fence railing. Proper position is generally determined by locating the assembly so that when the top is down, the struts are just behind the rear seats. Too far forward and the top will interfere with rear seating, while too far aft will provide less shade to the front of the boat. Once properly positioned, use a pencil and trace a line across the front of the actuator. Repeat these steps for the port actuator and port rear frame assembly. Put a tape measure on the pencil line made and measure back 1/2 inch and 16.5 inch and mark both. Now, from the edge of the actuator, measure out 1/2 inch and mark at the center of the railing's width to locate the controller's wire access hole location. Then, 90 degrees opposite the top wire access hole, mark the center of the deck side surface of the railing to locate the rechargeable battery cable's elbow shroud access hole. Use a drill with a 3/8 inch bit to drill both holes in the center of the frame at the previously marked locations. These holes need to go all the way through the rear frame tube. To install wire harnesses, run a starboard frame wire harness through the starboard rear frame assemblies. Install the starboard actuator on top of the fence railing where the dry fit markings were made. Install the assembled bolts into the previously drilled bottom holes of the railing and thread into the actuator. Use a 1/2 inch wrench on the bolts to fasten down the actuator assembly to the railing. Repeat these steps to install and secure the port actuator. Then connect the bottom end of the side frame wire harness to the starboard actuator wire harness. Slip the starboard rear frame assembly over the starboard actuator's rear handle, using care not to pinch any electrical wires. Use a 5/32 inch hex wrench to secure the frame in place with 2 1/4 inch number 20 by 5/16 inch provided screws. Repeat these steps to install the port frame wire harness and the port rear frame assembly and to secure the port actuator to the railing. Now, install the center wire harness and connecting bows by feeding one end of the center wire harness through a center connecting bow until enough harness extends at both ends for connecting to the starboard and port side frame harnesses. Connect the starboard and port ends of the center wire harness to the starboard and port frame wire harness respectively. Next, slip the center connecting bow into the starboard and port rear frame struts. Slip a center connecting bow into the starboard and port middle frame struts. Make sure the center bows are evenly adjusted to accommodate the width of the boat such that the center bows do not pull in or push out on the struts. Now fasten all struts and bows together with the provided number 10 self-drilling Phillips screws, installing 1 screw on each starboard and port rear strut and 2 screws on each starboard and port middle strut. Now, slip the starboard front frame over the starboard actuator's gear handle. Use a 5/32 inch hex wrench to secure the frame in place with 2 1/4 inch number 20 5/16 inch screws. Repeat these steps to secure the port front frame over the port actuator's gear handle. The touch controller requires an electrical connection to the battery receiver's power cable and physical attachment to the boat's railing. If the rechargeable battery is plugged into the battery receiver, remove the battery before installing the box. First, Locate and mount the battery receiver by the helm as far forward as possible and clear of any walking path or door. Position the hinged rear of the battery receiver within enough clearance of the power cord to travel up towards the touch controller without the harness being pinched. Make sure the battery receiver lid has enough room to open for ease of access to the rechargeable battery. Use a number 2 Phillips drive bit with the 3 supplied number 10-12 screws to secure the battery receiver. Now dry fit the power cord and foam tubing from the battery receiver, up the fence, along the side of the railing, and through the side wire access hole to the touch controller. The battery receiver comes with pre-installed foam tubing around the power wires. The foam tubing has an adhesive backing tape. Do not remove the tape until final installation. Carefully trim away the outer protective foam tubing at the location where the tubing will meet up against the underside of the fence railing at the wire access hole. Do not cut or nick any insulation covering the interior wires. Form the exposed wires into a hook shape so that they will feed successfully through the elbow shroud. Feed the wires all the way through the elbow shroud from the wide end to the narrow end. Pull the wires taut on the narrow end of the elbow shroud to snug the elbow against the foam tube. Tuck the cut end of the foam tube into the elbow shroud for neatness and protection. Next, thread the battery receiver cord power wires up through the deckside fence railing wire access hole. Tuck the narrow end of the elbow shroud into the wire access hole of the fence's railing. Inspect the dry fit route for the battery receiver harness to make sure all of the surfaces are dry and free of oils, dirt, and grime. If necessary, clean all harness root surfaces. Remove the adhesive backing tape from the foam tubing. Carefully retrace the dry fit route with the adhesive backing of the foam tubing. Make sure to press firmly and evenly along the length of the cord so that the adhesive backing tape takes hold. Now, prepare the cord power wires for connection as follows. Use a wire cutter to cut the connectors off of the touch controller's black and red wires, snug against the connector. Use a wire stripper to remove a 1/4 inch of insulation from the ends of the black and red wires. With the battery receiver cord power wires threaded up through the fence railing's wire access hole, use a wire stripper to remove a 1/4 inch of insulation from the ends of the black and black-white wires. Slip a butt connector over each bare wire. Use a wire crimper to crimp each butt connector's metal sleeve onto the bare wire. Insert the touch controller's black wire into the butt connector on the battery receiver's black wire. Insert the touch controller's red wire into the butt connector on the battery receiver's black-white wire. Use a wire crimper to crimp each butt connector's metal sleeve onto the 2 bare wires. Before completing the installation of the QC battery pack, test the electrical wire harness connections by first checking the power level of the rechargeable battery. Then, insert a fully charged battery into the receiver. Next, press and momentarily hold the touch controller's raise button until the Bimini frame begins to rise. If the Bimini frame rises, release the button. Press and hold the touch controller's lower button until the Bimini frame fully retracts to its fully closed position. To attach the touch controller, carefully tuck excess harness wires into the open end of the touch controller and starboard actuator. Install the touch controller into the end of the starboard actuator while aligning the controller's base with the top of the boat's starboard fence railing. Remove the protective cap over the touch controller's mounting hole. Fasten the front of the touch controller to the boat's starboard railing with the provided number 8 18 by 1.5 Phillips self-drilling screw. Reinstall the previously removed protective cap over the mounting screw. With a fully charged battery installed in the battery receiver, use the touch controller to position the Bimini frame into a partially raised position. Unzip the rear, middle, and front mounting pockets of the canvas top. Place the canvas top over the Bimini frame. The rear of the Bimini top has an access hole for a stern light. On newer canvas tops, the front of the top has a zippered storage pouch that is separate from the top's front zippered mounting pocket. If a stern light is attached to the rear frame's bow, slip the Bimini top's access hole over the light. Then, spread the top outward, aligning the rear zipped pouch over the Bimini's rear bow frame. Pull the middle zippered pocket of the canvas top over the middle frame bow, then zip it closed. Pull the front zippered pocket of the canvas top over the front frame bow, then zip it closed. Corner securing straps are provided to prevent undue billowing of the canvas top and for the attachment of accessories. They are located at the aft and bow port and starboard frame corners. Start at one canvas corner and tightly pull and wrap the securing strap around the Bimini top strut and snap in place. Repeat for each securing strap. Now, enjoy many years of shaded comfort on the open water, and thank you for purchasing Lippert's Bimini system with Quick Connect battery pack. For any troubleshooting questions, contact Lippert Customer Service at 432-LIPPERT. That's 432-547-7378. Or support at support.lci1.com or email to customerservice@lci1.com.